Hi, this is Tharusha Ashokgar bringing you the economic update for the month of July with the updates of the previous month. So we'll be covering the following aspects in this video. Starting off with the CBSL update of further tightening the monetary policy stance. Considering the domestic uncertain economic conditions, Monetary Board of CBSL has decided to further increase the STFR and SLFR of CBSL by 100 basis points to 14.5% and 15.5% respectively. Having noted the higher than expected escalation of headline inflation recently and the increased persistence of high inflation in the period ahead, the board was of the view that a further monetary policy tightening would be necessary to contain any buildup of adverse inflation. Although in arriving at this decision, the impact of tighter monetary policy conditions on overall economic activity was also weighed. Meanwhile, the board has also ensured a faster return of inflation to the targeted 4 to 6% range over the medium term under the flexible inflation targeting framework. Moving on to inflation for June. CCPI month-on-month inflation significantly increased by 12.8%, where food and non-food group increased by 18.9% and 9.4% respectively. Meanwhile, YOY inflation increased beyond 50% and recorded at 54.6%, contributed by both food and non-food items. Analyzing the month-on-month inflation, food items contributed 6.8% and non-food items contributed 6%. In food items, sea fish, vegetables, bread, rice, and milk powder significantly contributed to the increase. And in non-food items, mainly transport, restaurants and hotels, secondary education and housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels contributed for the hike. Analyzing the year-on-year inflation of CCPI, 80.1% contributed from food items and 42.4% contributed from non-food items. Contribution of food items were mainly due to the increase in price of transport, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, and restaurants and hotels. Looking at the NCPI increased to 45.3% year-on-year, contributed by both food commodities and non-food commodities. Moving on to M2B and credit growth, private sector credit increased by LKR 2 billion in May, while displaying a slowdown due to the elevated lending rates. State credit reflected a net settlement of LKR 24 billion. On a year-on-year basis, state and private credit recorded an increase of 19.3%, and on year-to-date basis, it is an increase of 11.1%. Foreign reserves improved to $1.9 billion in May relative to $1.8 billion in April. Market liquidity remained negative and witnessed a slight volatility during June 2022. In terms of the currency, during the month, LKR slightly appreciated against USD and also appreciated against most of the major currencies. And in terms of the government securities, there were 450 billion worth of maturities during June, and the new issues worth of 419 billion, creating a deficit of 31 billion. And CBSL holdings increased by 115 billion during the month of June. In terms of treasury bills and bond markets, the secondary bond market yield curve displayed an unprecedented spike over 100 basis points on all the maturities, and no rates were quoted for bonds maturing beyond 10 years. During the beginning of the month, yield curve slightly edged down towards belly to long end maturities, while market participants opted to be on the sidelines. As the economic conditions remain uncertain, yields spiked upwards towards the end of the month, following the hike of the bill auction yields. Moving on to the finance sector rate movements, AWPR and AWDR witnessed a steep upward movement while creating an interest spread of 13.86%. In terms of exports for the month of April recorded an increase of 18.5% to 970 million, mainly contributed by industrial exports and agriculture exports, although a decline was recorded in mineral exports. In terms of imports, with the continuation of import restriction measures, import expenditures slightly down by 0.5% to 1.7 billion, and decline in import expenditure led by non-food consumer goods and investment goods, while an increase was recorded in import of food and intermediate goods. Therefore, balance of trade, a deficit of negative 729 million was created. Balance of payment for January to April 2022 recorded at negative 2.6 billion compared to January to March 2022 amount of negative 2.3 billion, recording a net outflow of $0.3 billion for the month of April. Also, workers' remittances declined by 52%, while earnings from tourism improved to 113 million. In terms of the tourist arrivals, total number of 32,856 tourist arrivals were recorded last month, and there was slight improvement in arrivals was observed during the month as a result of the increased arrivals from Australia. Total tourist arrivals for the first half of 2022 crossed the 400,000 mark with the June arrivals. Largest source market recorded for the month of June were India, UK, and Australia. In terms of the global market, major indices have recorded loss during the month due to the fears of global recession. So with that, we conclude the monthly recap for July, and stay tuned for more updates in future. Thank you.